Where?
Punch it!
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again with episode number 90 of Hyperspace Hype. We've officially crossed the 90 threshold. Only 10 more. Until something. Join me, Evan.
We are alive. I'm glad to be here. Wow, only 10 more until 100, you said?
Yeah, until we can retire.
Oh boy, yeah, until we're done. No more podcasts. Fuck Star Wars. You can finally move on to what I've been proposing, which is a Willow podcast. I know you're still warming up to it, but I think we should talk more about it off air. Anyways.
I'm sure I can implement it into the horror podcast.
Great. Fantastic. Willow and horror do not mix. They kind of do. It depends. Yeah, this was a great week of Star Wars. Bad Batch once again firing on all cylinders. And Mandalorian, I had an interesting time with it. I didn't love the episode, but it had some great moments. Like, just great surprising moments that I cannot wait to talk about. I've been really enjoying, contrary to, I guess, public opinion or, minority.
Why are we always on the fucking wrong end?
It's funny, right? Because season 2 came out and I was fine. Mandalorian season 2 came out. Well, season 1 just in general was universally like, this was fresh, this was cool, this was new and unique. Not a lot of complaints, except people were upset about like the one-off episodes, which they got used to. But anyways, for season 2, I'm notorious for not liking the back half of season 2. I think
they had us in the first half.
They had it in the first half. Not gonna lie. But the first episode of season 2, iconic. You meet Cobb. They get not the Mythosaur. You meet the Great Dragon. Great stuff. 2 and 3 are solid. I didn't really care for the cave episode, but it was fun. It was fine. And then they meet Bo-Katan. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Bo-Katan's back in live action. Great Bryce Dallas Howard episode. Then we meet Ahsoka. Then Boba Fett comes back. And then we get the great Rick from You episode. And then we get the finale.
Well, so I had mixed Ian's crazy game of chess where what?
Yeah, it was something, all right. So I had a mixed bag with season 2 in terms of like understanding what the show was going for, in terms of broadening its scope and introducing new shows that Dave and John wanted to introduce, new characters, and shows. Like they wanted to spin off to do Ahsoka stuff. They want more Bo-Katan, which is great, but they also want Boba Fett and Luke. And then there's Thrawn tease, which we won't even see in this show alone. So I'm like, why even mention it in Mandalorian? So it's just, it's a lot. Scratch what I just said, because Thrawn is probably most definitely showing up in a big event later on. But that's it's so far down the line that I didn't really care for it in season 2. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I think I was just coming to terms with what the Mandalorian was in terms of like not being the spin-off show, but being the broader type of show that encompasses pretty much a lot of what the post-Return of the Jedi world is for Star Wars fans and the story at large. And then we get to season 3, and I'm happy. I like the first 3 episodes of season 3 so far. Episode 4 was very cool as well, but it turns out people are upset because of the lack of protagonism, if that even is a word, for Din. People are struggling to say, what is the point of this season? I can't find the through line for this season. And most of all, my protagonist, Din, isn't in a lot of the episodes. He isn't getting a lot of the focus. So people are upset. Valid enough. But for me, I'm liking the perspective switch. I'm liking that we're getting more Bo-Katan. We got a lot of Din. We'll continue to get a lot of Din. This is his show. But, Din and Bo-Katan both fulfill the roles of being a Mandalorian in a show called The Mandalorian. So, it always vibed with me that we'd get more Bo and Din, especially this season. We talked about it a lot in the preseason. We were like, Bo is going to be the angel on his shoulder. Now, that hasn't necessarily been the case, but I just like the perspective switch of Bo-Katan being a co-protagonist this season. Key word there, Nathan, co-protagonist, because Din is still our guy. Din is still our protagonist. We're still seeing things through his lens and his perspectives. But hey, if the camera switches to Bo-Katan, if we're getting a Bo-Katan only scene here and there, that's only amplifying the season for me. It's not really diminishing the season for me. I'm having a great time so far with season 3. I think it's already, I'm more comfortable with it than season 2 so far. Just the focused storytelling in general. I like it.
Yeah, I'm intrigued what they're setting up, and what I find odd is that it's not like it's like everything they're doing is it's clearly setting up the big overarching story, right? Like yeah, we're following different perspectives with like Bo and even like Grogu in this episode, which like it makes sense. Like they're core characters in this.
And the New Republic last week,
New Republic. And granted, that's Pershing was a very like small character in the previous couple seasons, but it's obvious the stuff they're setting up with him and where that's going is going to circle back around. It's not that they're not just like doing it, for just no reason.
This is not the last time we see Kane and Pershing. Yeah. But yeah, I'm with you. It's like people just need to relax. It's the same thing people are upset about with Phase 4 and Marvel. If they can't see a clear direction, they get upset about it. It's like, oh man, Phase 1 through 3, the MCU was leading me towards the Infinity War, but where are they going now? It's like, just be patient, just enjoy the movie that you got, right? Like, just enjoy the 2-hour movie and then just move on. Like, why?
Yeah, they always want to know, like, what's the next big thing?
What's next? I mean, just enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
My enjoyment of Ant-Man or whatever, or Thor or Doctor Strange or Black Panther, my enjoyment isn't contingent upon what's next or what are they leading me to. I'm just going to enjoy what the characters are going through in said movie, or in this case, in said episode. What's the arcs that they're telling me in this episode? I'll piece it together by the end, right?
Yeah, and it's like if you look at something like Multiverse of Madness, which I know you weren't like the biggest fan of, but
it's fun.
I don't think you hate it. Yeah, no. I love it a lot. There's such like a stigma online that people are like, with a title like that, it should have been huge scale, and it's just like that is your fault for having an expectation. Like just because it has that title, a lot of crazy shit went down in that movie, and they went to a couple different universes. It did the title.
Exactly.
I don't know why you were expecting in between on a random off the cuff Doctor Strange movie to be Secret Wars, basically.
Yeah, it's a product of the Scoop game these days as well. People are like, oh, Tom Cruise's Iron Man could appear in this. Like, why? Like, do cameos really affect your enjoyment of a Doctor Strange movie? Like,
which they still got, but for some reason they're expecting obviously Reed Richards is going to be a co-lead with Steven. Like, no. Why would you think that?
No, he's going to get killed in 5 seconds. Spoiler alert.
Here, I'm very intrigued because obviously they're setting up big things. I mean, the whole thing leaving off season 2, the fact that Din was the one with the Darksaber, obviously we're going to tackle more reconstructing of the Mandalorian culture and the hierarchy, and bringing Bo, the previous ruler, in and having her perspective, what her plans are going to unfold. That seems like a natural progression.
It totally does, and that leads into a good segue into this episode, where this episode's titled Convert. No, not Convert. That was last week.
Foundling.
The Foundling, in which you could place Bo-Katan, Grogu, a lot of different, or Ragnar. Ragnaru, there's a character in Vinland Saga, this anime called Ragnar as well, and I'm just like, it's a Viking show. Ragnar is very much a Viking name.
My sister is a big fan of the show Vikings, and there was a character named, I think his name's Ragnar Lothbrok.
Ragnar is a very common. It's like, it's not a John, but it's close to John.
Our friend from Norway, Noah, claims it's a very boomer name.
Boomer name, got it.
Yeah, just because like a lot of older people,
a lot of things in Vinland Saga are also based on for Viking, like Thorfinn, Thoris, Thor being the primary focus because God of Thunder. But anyways, it leads into this episode, Nathan, where I think my big question, and it's not a negative question, it's just a positive. What are we getting? how should we be feeling about the watch? A, and then B, what are Bo-Katan's plans for said watch? I think these are two interesting things that I pondered last week, and I'm continuing to answer question more so this week as we get a deeper look at the watch and their practices. So I'll kind of start the episode off, or our podcast off with that question in terms of like, how should we feel about the watch? You know, we started season 3 preseason like, you know, Din's got to go. You got to, in terms of your hero journey, separate yourself from this watch, this culty watch. It's not a bad place. It's just in terms of healthy progression. Maybe you should create some distance, create your own way instead of being anchored by this is the way.
Yeah.
Which again has positive and negative attributes, at least for me as an audience member. So I'm very curious to see where they go with the watch, because, and I'll bring this up multiple times throughout the podcast here, but they did some very good things, some healthy things that surprised me in this episode. And I'm just like, okay, interesting. Where are we going with this place? By the end of this episode, I'm like, maybe Din doesn't have to leave, but maybe Din and Bo can just evolve the organization itself. Maybe evolve it from the inside. Maybe that'll be a way to go. But, you know, an organization that's been strict in its helmet creed, for example, for decades now, is it that easy to move on? We'll see. But I think that might be a thing that instead of Din leaving, which is still an option, of course, it's an easy option, but also it could just be him evolving it from the outside or from the inside. You know, in the trailers, Din's like, we have a greater purpose. Maybe that was already said this season, I'm not sure. But like the trailer kind of teased us with them saying like we have a bigger purpose, we should get together, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious. But Bo-Katan though might not have the whole like let's change from the inside. And neither is Din at this point. He's still not saying like we should change. He's still full on, you know, this is the way. But Bo-Katan might also have some different means, which I'll talk about by the end of the episode. But we start off here with them training on this horrible planet. You know, episode 1, there was a Loch Ness monster, dragon underwater.
Crocodile
Dundee. Yeah. And then now here we get an aerial monster we get later on, but we'll get to that. But you know, short and sweet of it all, like great training sequence. Everybody's training. There's like a judge, a proctor, going around.
A coach, if you will.
A coach, yeah.
A ref.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty cool. But we see Grogu noticeably off alone. He is exemplifying himself being afraid. He's doing solitude. He's practicing the Force with like crab creatures, you know, living with nature, right? He's more comfortable amongst these creatures than other people.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. I was like, I don't think he was moving the rocks. I think they were just walking, but you know, the fact that you brought up the whole like connecting with nature, that does make sense.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, because it teases you with thinking, oh, he's moving rocks, but actually no, those are just crab creatures moving on their own.
And then Din comes over. No son of mine's gonna be a Jedi.
Yeah, fuck off. No, but I mean, no, yeah, he kind of says the opposite, right? Like he kind of accepts that, hey, do what you can. You are a Mandalorian. I took note of this, right? Like the Mandalorians aren't upset about Grogu being part of them. They're very accepting. You know, Ragnar is mostly just like dismissive, but he's not like fuck this guy. But we'll get to that in a second. So Grogu's off messing with the crabs. Bo comes over too. I like this. Bo comes over as like this motherly figure. We talked about this in episode 2. She has become some sort of like motherly figure to Grogu. Father one, of course, being Din, to Grogu in terms of like helping him, being that relationship is very interesting to me. Because not too long ago we thought like, hey, Bo-Katan could just sell Grogu out for the Darksaber. We've come a long way from like those kind of thoughts.
Yeah, she's the villain.
Exactly right, but she very well could. Bo is a very self-interested character like Joel, but just like Joel isn't a bad guy.
Joel's not evil.
Bo isn't evil either, right? But they're self-interested players. They're selfish characters that are also willing to help people, right? Yeah. So I think Bo is willing to help, as we see in this episode. She helped in episode 2, but also I think when it comes down to it, she can also be self-interested, which isn't that bad. But you know, we'll get into it. But anyways, Grogu was alone. He's afraid. And Bo-Katan talks about her past again. This is the second time she talks about her father and her past, saying how like, I used to do these things with my father. I wasn't really comfortable with it, but these are the traditions that I had to, get used to. And these are reminiscent, or she's being reminiscent of her lineage, reminiscent of her culture. I think this is a continuing theme of we'll see with Bo's arc, where, we see her being all solitary at her home at the beginning of the season. Now, through Din and Grogu's actions and getting into their storylines, she's beginning to be reminiscent of her past again, that recollection of being a true Mandalorian again, as we'll get to at the end of the episode. So I think this is very interesting. Bo-Katan's basically what I'm saying is connecting with her roots through Grogu. And we'll see where that could possibly lead her to. But Din comes over and be like, hey, train with Ragnar, go into a little sparring match here. And it's okay to do what you have to do. You have the ability to do something, do it. Ragnar hits him off with 2 bullets off the bat. And Din's just like, okay, you're afraid again. You're not doing what you have the ability to do. Stop being afraid. Don't be afraid. And these are things that are very important. Don't be afraid to don't be afraid to showcase what you got. You shouldn't be hiding your true potential, which I think could be a theme for Bo or for Din as well, right? Don't be afraid to hide your true potential behind the mask. Yeah. Be willing to take off the mask for healthy reasons. So then, Grogu's like, okay, Dad, I'll follow your lead. And flips around, easily gets 3 scores off of Ragnar, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Just very fun sequence overall. I like the quote from Ragnar's father, revealed to be his father later on, but we kind of already knew it.
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? I thought we talked about this.
No, we didn't talk about this.
I definitely, because remember last week we said like, oh, the both wearing blue. They both had the blue helmet. Maybe that was episode. What was that episode?
I don't know if that. I mean, if we talked about that, I don't know if I agreed that held any weight. But
I thought I mentioned it because they all whenever Ragnar was in episode 1, they kept showcasing Ragnar being like shaking his head. If you're audio watching. But
I remember. I mean, in context of thinking back, in the context of the show, like when they were fighting that creature, he knocks Ragnar out of the way.
Right.
Now in hindsight, that makes more sense. I was just like, why the fuck did you knock a kid over, you asshole? I know you're saving him, but Jesus. But no, it makes more sense. But okay, yeah, no, I didn't know, but yeah, now we know.
It's okay, you take things at face value.
Listen, that's not face. Look, none of that was face value. God damn it, none of that shit was like the seed. I guess it was a seed planted, but it wasn't like an obvious seed.
No, it was a pretty big seed.
Pretty big. Think fucking Ragnar is gonna be going on the side quest adventure with Grogu next week?
Well, no, but I'm telling you, like in terms of father, him being the father, pre-Vizsla, like come on, you are the father.
I don't know. How long has it been since they were on the Halo ring?
It's been a hot minute.
Do they procreate with helmets on, Evan?
Oh, that was a question Jalen asked too, my brother.
I questioned it too. I was watching.
I questioned his son being like, is this genetically your son, or is like you found him, you took him in, and you are his son, foundling wise? Like somebody like, oh, I adopted him, so he's now my son, that kind of thing, or that could be his paternal son. I'm not sure. Either way, but yeah, what?
I was like, remember, does he call him a foundling? No, he just calls him a child.
He just calls him a child, calls him his son, but I think there is open to interpretation that he could just be adopted by pre-Vizsla, and Vizsla was just like, you are not my son, basically, because I found you, I took you in.
It could totally be. I mean, because like they specifically specify that Grogu is too young to speak, so he can't speak the creed. This kid, could have spoke like way earlier years.
Exactly. And also, speaking of that quote, he does say like, one does not speak unless one knows, from pre-Vizsla, in terms of like, I think that was said like after the fight, right? Like,
Before.
or before,
Because
right? Ragnar was like,
Ragnar was like, well, I know, and Din was like, I guess this is a lesson for you then.
yeah, one does not speak unless one knows. There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Hmm.
So Din defends him. But then after all that, creature comes in from above, stalking the prey. And again, pick a better location, guys. We talked about this in Last of Us reviews in terms of David's group not picking the best place for camp in episode 8. They kind of were screwed during the wintertime. But yeah, these guys are screwed during the heat of the summer. It's like water, and then they're throwing grenades into the water too, which was fun. I'm like, you guys just barely defeated this water creature.
Yeah,
now you're throwing grenades and blasters. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm like, aren't you wasting ammunition? Like this shit can't be cheap. What's your artillery rotation?
Exactly. Like Star Wars is weird, right? Because like plasma, there's not necessarily bullets, right? But you do have like clips, right? Or you can overheat, right?
Yeah, or at the very least, like work off of stun settings or something. Which I guess I don't know. Maybe Mandos don't practice that, but
yeah, I don't know. But either way, I'm like, come on, guys, pick a better location.
Yeah.
Because Ragnar gets taken, they go in this awesome chase sequence to go find him. But hey, our jetpacks don't have enough fuel for that long distance. But what does have full fuel is Bo-Katan's ship.
Yeah.
Right? She goes off into the sunset. Great shot of this wide shot of Bo-Katan's ship chasing after the creature.
It was a great shot, and then it became a better shot when they cut to like the Apocalypse Now shot.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, where it's just like that sunset, beautiful. It was amazing. Bo-Katan comes back saying like, "Yeah, the kid's dead, guys." No. So she comes back.
It's over.
And it's all over. It's like the kid got taken up to a high mountaintop. Here's a map. This is a better map than Jedi Fallen Order. And then they marked
one layer. You say
it was awesome. I'm watching them like, why can't we have this map? You can see the verticality and everything.
They showcased the newer map layout for the second game.
Oh, it's definitely it's evolved, which is great. What was I gonna say? So basically it's the top of this cliff, but we can't get there using our normal means because the creature will hear us and they will find out. And if it hears us, the kid will die. It had a weird thing where I'm just like, what's stopping the creature from just killing the kid now? Like, how do you know the kid's still alive?
Faith, Evan, I guess.
Is it faith? I guess. Okay.
But also, from what they said, this has happened before.
This has happened before. So, how many kids have we lost? And
Maybe
we still stuck here?
Kids. Maybe. I mean, like when they get to the nest, there's an adult Mandalorian helmet in the nest. So.
Yeah. People get taken just in general.
Yeah.
Maybe we should practice inside, yes.
Maybe we should just leave.
Take our camp and move it somewhere else.
I mean, I get why they're on this planet though, because who the fuck's gonna come here?
Exactly, very desolate, and you don't want to have a repeat of like an Imperial warlord coming over there and wiping them out like Bo-Katan. Sorry, maybe too soon, Bo-Katan. Or Gideon, exactly. If he's already free, that's crazy to me. So anyways, so what I see here, Bo prepares a crew to go rescue Ragnar. We cut to them leaving. Grogu is going to stay with the armor. Now, at this point in the episode, I'm like, oh,
I don't know. I don't know if I would leave my son with her.
Me too. I was worried. I'm like, okay, Grogu's leaving her with the armor. This is going to be a great point for the show to showcase the negative aspects of the armor. Is the armor going to be a negative influence on Grogu? As you know, we've all been theorizing. Nathan, turns out she was a pretty good babysitter. Better than Mary Poppins, I'll tell you that.
What's wrong with Mary Poppins?
She fucking sucks.
Why?
She's like turning these kids around on their father and his ideals, and then like they're singing and dancing too much. They leave the house too much. Fuck you, Mary Poppins.
I need to revisit Mary Poppins, but
I'm kidding. Not kidding. I don't like Mary Poppins. But.
Yeah, if anything, I feel like she played more like the role of like a daycare school teacher.
Yes,
a principal. If you will.
I would agree, but I think in general there was nothing overtly negative in the quotes that she was saying too. There's some good quotes that she was saying here, and I was like, oh, okay. Sure. She wasn't saying like, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, you go ahead.
I was like, she wasn't saying like, hey, there wasn't anything that I caught that was like strictly like, hey, these are strict rules that you can't follow. She was telling her like universal human good behavior stuff that I'll say in a second. What were you saying?
just like when she starts fashioning a piece of armor.
Mhm.
This this is basically the flashback trauma machine, because just like Din, Grogu starts having foundling flashbacks.
That was very funny. Yeah, because I'm gonna repeat. She's gonna repeat something that I think she said to Din as well, in terms of like finding your true purpose and being able to uh, find yourself through adversity. What she said specifically is that um, we all begin as raw ore. We refine ourselves through trials and adversity. She says this as she's clanging and hitting the armor plating. But yeah, very similar to what she said to Din in season 1, in terms of like really, because Din came back to her. I think this was after the whole trials with the Mudhorn and with Grogu, and
Yeah, he got the best card.
he got the Beskar. And this was after, I think, the whole episode 3 incident with them like fighting in Navarro.
Yeah, because they drove him away, right?
Because he drove them away. Yeah, and he comes back to her and is like, "Where did everybody else go?" And anyways,
I think he got the armor before that.
before the flashback.
Yeah, because they have like a whole functioning armor. Well, no, the crafting of the armor and the flashback are in the same scene.
Are in the same scene? Okay.
I just mean like before the assault on the.
Oh, so that was episode 2. I thought I saw his flashback later on in the season.
Well, it was sprinkled all throughout. But so
True.
we see the flashback multiple times. But no, I think like it was a thing where I don't think we circle back to the empty caves and like the stacked helmets until like penultimate borderline.
Okay. Oh, you could be right. Maybe.
Because when they did episode 3 with Deborah Chow's episode, and they helped drive the Empire away, Din stays in his ship and he's leaving, and Vizsla gives him that salute and goes away.
Yeah, you're right. Interesting. But either way, like, she's saying stuff that she taught Din, and I assume taught everybody. Again, the armor is a very interesting character. She's always been like this motherly goddess like character, where for these people, we're not saying that everybody else is below her, but they kind of are, right? They're all following her rules, her creed. And she's saying a lot of knowledge that is applicable towards them, but she's not sharing everything. There's still a weird, that's why I say goddess, because like there's a weird aura around her where she's not like fully like she's among them, but she's also above them.
Her word is law.
Her word is law, and she shares knowledge, but she's also like, you can tell she's keeping stuff from other people. Like you can tell she knows more than she lets on, is what I'm trying to say. So it's a very mysterious character in general still.
Yeah, which can still rub me the wrong way in different aspects, like especially with a Din, because like, oh, you took your helmet off, we turned your back on you, and then as soon as they keep bringing us the waters, everyone's doubting him, and he's like, no, he's good, he's clear, absolved of all sins.
Yeah, for just falling in a pit of water.
Didn't speak the words fully, didn't need proof of that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's weird. So yeah, she does good and bad things, similar to a Bo-Katan in a way. But like, so it's very interesting. What?
Big extremes on whatever side she.
Yeah, big extremes. So I'm very curious to see what the armor is about this season. But yeah, overall, like she's accepting towards Grogu. She's not saying like, oh, Grogu isn't a true Mandalorian. In the sequence, she's crafting an armor plating for Grogu, helping him defend himself, right? He'll grow into this.
He'll grow into it. Which I was looking at, and I was like, even with like a Yoda size, that looks too big.
Yeah, Nathan, me and you both. I'm like, there's no growing into it. That's kind of
good. If anything, that's a shoulder pad piece, and that's going to be like 2 shoulders for him.
Yeah, like you put that on Yoda, and it'll still be a bit too big. It's big. It's huge. I'm like, but so
at first I was like, are you crafting a helmet for him?
Yeah, like it looked huge as hell. So I'm like, what do you mean you'll grow into it? He's not gonna get that much bigger.
No,
it was weird, but I'll go with it. Whatever.
Question I posed to you: if we were to ever get to a point where, in theory, in the timeline, if like Grogu reaches full Mandalorian potential in his adult age, do they provide ear holes for the helmet?
Oh gosh. No.
Or would that go against the religion?
Yeah, just tuck it in your ears. It'll be fine.
Oh God, how do you hear?
I have no idea. That's a good point. Yeah, that's funny.
Oh,
Yeah, people are
I think
asking like,
we're asking the
what?
questions we're not meant to ask. It's like, oh,
Exactly.
we're gonna break the lore if we ask.
People are asking if he's gonna get another outfit chain outside of those like rags, because he's had like the armor, the what's not the armor, but the chain mail from last season. Now he has like this armor insignia thing. It's like he's getting like these internal upgrades, but like nothing exterior wise. Which I think is fine.
He's got one piece of clothing, and
exactly.
Oh my god,
he's fine. But yeah, so
does he have diapers? Does he? Is he potty trained?
He's 50.
Yeah, and look at him. Everyone's like, he's still a baby.
It's like that clip on Twitter. Oh my god, with the Mike Tyson. Like, oh no.
Yes. Oh god, funny. He's giving me like dude's covering his ears. He's like, oh
yeah,
god.
It's like, dude, Mike, it's not a baby. It's not a baby.
I wonder if anyone's told him yet.
Probably right after the fact. That was hilarious. But if you didn't know what we're talking about, look up Mike Tyson on Twitter. You'll find out really quickly. But anyways, yeah, what I caught from this whole sequence, the armor's very accepting. She teaches them about Mando culture, Mando lessons. We begin to draw orb. We define ourselves through our trials and adversity. I'm just like, wow. I mean, these are pretty positive Mandalorian things. She's not being like averse to Grogu at all, and she never has been. Like, she was always accepting of him as soon as she saw him in season 1 and 2.
It's a foundling. Here's your crest.
Basically, right? So her job is to teach foundlings, and she's teaching Grogu. But anyways, we get to adversity and trials, and Grogu thinks back to his adversity and trials, just like Din did with his like upbringing. Grogu's upbringing is a bit more tragic, We cut back to Order 66. We see the Jedi protecting him. One Jedi says, "Take him to Kelleran." Yeah. And if you're a fan of like the
Jedi Temple
challenges, like your boy is, I didn't watch every single episode, but I watched the first couple episodes.
Yeah, me too. But also, I will say, like, I forgot what the Jedi's name was. So, and with it being said in passing, I'm just like, okay. So in my brain, I'm like, all right, cool, new character, nice. What do we got? Yeah. And I really didn't see this coming, Evan. I
was spoiled, Nathan.
Were you really?
I was scrolling through because I muted the hell out of Mandalorian. I didn't see anything until like an hour before the episode. I was on Twitter. I woke up around 1:00. But I was going through my notifications because even if you mute something, your notifications don't apply.
I know, it sucks.
This is weird. I'm like, okay, but I don't think it was it Collider, or maybe it was like some news website that just said it without hashtagging Mandalorian.
I think it was.
Was it Variety?
No, I don't think it was Variety. I think it was like, it could have been Entertainment Weekly.
I don't have Entertainment Weekly on notifications. It was
but yeah, like 8 or 9 a.m. They posted like, oh, welcome back. I was like,
you know what? I think it was like Collider Entertainment Weekly. It was just like, welcome back. Ahmed Best is back, and I'm just like, wow. I was like,
I mean, they had the thumbnail of his entrance.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm glad I didn't see it. Because I was obviously I mute key things, but when it's some random shit you don't expect, that's not safe. And luckily, I watched it early enough. Luckily, my Disney Plus was still on. This is a
huge reveal, Nathan.
Huge reveal.
I was surprised. I loved this.
I was so shocked. I was so taken aback. I had no idea, and I think this is again the fucking magic of not being scooped on shit to just enjoying the moment. I
agree totally. And for all intents and purposes, this is a new original character. This isn't like the popular fan theories of Ahsoka, Quinlan Voss, right? People were saying Quinlan. So the famous people that escaped Order 66, right? But Ahmed Best as Kelleran Beck was the Sabered Hand was a huge surprise.
I would have thought we were maybe going to get like a minute or two of him like run through the halls, passing him onto like,
kept going
or something. No, he flew him through the city. Like that was so cool.
Flying through the city, people were chasing after him. He double wielded lightsabers.
I think they were both small
Blue
hills,
and green.
For like ease of.
Well, he picked one of them up, so yeah. But yeah.
Okay. But yeah, to traverse, which is cool, and gunships are chasing him down. they fly through the tunnel of the
Mhm.
train system, which again, like I said, it's been very beneficial of like with Bad Batch as well. Also like diving back into Coruscant and just like seeing them of these eras back and forth,
It was
and
really
also coming off of Andor, we're just like so familiar now with the layouts.
super familiar, yeah. And we cut back to the mountain top,
Yeah, it
the
skids
mountain
through
plaza.
about 25-ish years before.
Say it again.
About I said roughly like 25 years prior.
Oh yeah. Dude, man, you're right. But yeah,
Grogu's middle age.
it was just cool seeing the mountain plaza again. We just saw it last week again, so
Yeah.
go back to the same set.
Ultimately,
really
we end up flying to a Naboo Star Cruiser.
Naboo Star Cruiser. As soon as I saw the guards, I was like, "Oh, this is Naboo." Then saw the Star Cruiser. I'm like, "Oh, so this is definitely Naboo."
Well, I recognized the ship, and I was like, "Fucking the Padme ship," and like it's the same make, at least the same make and model that Padme flies in Attack of the Clones.
And then Padme comes out, and I was surprised. I was like, "Oh my god!" She was like, "Come on, guys,
a twin, Sabe.
come on, guys, we got to go fight Anakin."
We're setting up the storyline to adapt the Vader comic.
Exactly, yeah. Sabe. Handmaidens aren't doing so well by you guys in the current post-Empire comic book. Handmaidens are not faring well.
The Darth Vader spinoff show is coming, Evan. Are you ready?
No.
R-rated and everything.
Yeah. This is my Vader. No.
Oh no.
Not much else to say, but yeah, Naboo starship. And that's basically the end of the flashback sequence.
Well, a positive.
We don't know where they go.
Yes, but a positive I will say that I wasn't expecting is that Kelleran escapes with Grogu and he's still alive.
He's still alive? They escape together? Are they going to Naboo? You would presume so.
I don't know. Now, granted, we also know that by the time we find Grogu, he's alone.
That's what I was going to get to. Yeah.
We don't know where that's going to go. And granted, that's when we find Grogu, that's again like 25-ish years or 30 years off from those events of Order 66. So
you can assume. I assume Kelleran Paris is between this time and A New Hope.
Sure.
People were complaining about like all these people that survived Order 66. Yeah, they survived, but how many of them made it to episode 4? Not a lot. Like there's a lot of people that we know survived. What's it called? Kanan. Ezra was just born on this day, but Kanan. Grogu now,
Ahsoka, Reva,
people survived,
Cal.
but then they died during the original trilogy, or by the time the original trilogy happened, it's pretty much just Luke and Ahsoka who was caught in the war between the worlds. Was complicated, but it's
Obi-Wan and Yoda.
Darth Vader did his. People are complaining because they're like, how many people survived Order 66 at this time? But like, guys.
Hundreds upon maybe thousands of Jedi.
There's millions, hundreds, thousands, millions of Jedi out there.
Millions.
Fine, hundreds upon thousands of Jedi.
Yeah.
They all perished. Darth Vader, Inquisitors, killed 99% of people that were alive that are Force users.
Yeah.
During this time period. 2% survive. That's okay. I assume I want my best to survive. I would love it too because that was a great character, great save. But I assume he perished because again, Nathan's right. We do find Grogu alone on some abandoned planet, just by himself,
you
not
have
being taken
to
care of by a Jedi.
You have to presume something even more traumatic on top of it would have to happen because Grogu blocks out these memories by the time we find him in the present time.
Exactly. He blocks out the memories and he stops using the Force. So something tragic had to happen. He had to go to some, adversity, some trials, as the armor was explaining, to get to this point. So yeah, very interesting. But in general, I just want to talk about, I love seeing Kelleran Beck. Great choice to come in here. He was a character who was his life mission was to heal and to foster the next generation of heroes. Next generation being, Grogu, people like that. So it makes sense as the teacher, the sensei character, to come in and be the one to be this rescuer, the savior to the younglings, the ones that could make it. Sire Reva in the game.
Which that makes like an extra sting if you choose to believe when he says the line like there is no one else. Like the Naboo guards were expecting, maybe that group was also supposed to come along, but they didn't make it out because the Anakin.
Yeah, Anakin said hi.
Hello.
Slaughtered them. But yeah, Kelleran Beck. Yeah, Kelleran Beck was great as a character. Again, somebody who was fostering the next generation, somebody who made it his life's mission to teach the young ones the ways of the Force through, again, trials and adversity, and through all these ways, how to be a Jedi, how to be one with the Force. But also outside of it, you know, it was fantastic seeing Ahmed Best, somebody who had also faced, for lack of better words, trials and adversity through online harassment, personal harassment, contemplating a lot of personal, I don't want to get into his background, but, you know, he went through a lot of pain.
Yeah, he almost was no longer with us because of that.
Exactly. That's what
and it's so wonderful to think that, you know, him going from such the lowest of lows out of you know, point of view of the Star Wars fandom to being the one to save, you know, Grogu, the icon that he has now since become, that, you know, even non-Star Wars fans are so, you know, obsessed with.
Yeah, exactly. It makes a lot of sense. So it made a lot of sense in the universe, and especially outside of the universe, because I'm so happy for Ahmed Best. He deserves this. It was a fantastic reveal for a brand new character, which for all intents and purposes was pretty unknown within the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
So I like them doing this.
Yeah, and even I was like sitting here thinking, I'm like, is this game show Persona canon? I don't know.
I guess it was now, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they always said it kind of was. The show, you know, casting normal humans in this stuff. Like, it's a game show, so part of it's canon, not canon, but like himself as a teacher with the robot, those were all canon material. Like they talked about it on the Star Wars show. Like,
I would love to see his droid come in.
I would love that too. That was a great droid. So yeah, if people are watching us, thank you, like and subscribe. But also go back and watch Jedi Temple challenges. They were very fun episodes. It's very cool. I hope they do more of that within the Star Wars universe, especially for teenagers or for young adults. I would love to participate in some stuff like American Ninja Warrior within the Jedi universe, please.
Hidden Temple, baby.
That'd be exactly right. So I can't reiterate how much I'm just so proud and happy for Ahmed Best. It just his personal life connecting with this character and this show and this period of the universe. It all clicks. It makes sense. I loved it so much. It was very emotional after the fact. I didn't get emotional during it, but I was just thinking about it after the fact. I'm like, wow, this makes so much sense for him to be the one to save Grogu. And I never really cared. I was notorious in episode 5 of season 2. Like, I don't care about his backstory. I don't care about who saved Grogu. I'm all about the now. But give me a new-ish, original-ish character, make him Ahmed Best, and I'm going to give a shit. And I gave a shit. I cared. It made a lot of sense. It was a thrilling sequence. It was fun to watch. I was just so happy, so thrilled. Genuine surprise, even though it's kind of spoiled.
I'm so sorry.
It was cool to watch. It didn't take away from my enjoyment at all. Rest of the episode plays out where they end up tracking the monster. We get a cool action sequence of them struggling to fight the monster's children. It had like they're like in this bird nest area. Yeah. And there's like these 2-3 creepy baby birdish monsters. Yeah. It felt very much like the classic like monster movies of the 1970s where like
I've been thoroughly impressed with Lucasfilm's ability to make these giant creature designs that, you know, feel very like almost puppet-esque in a sense. Like very like the designs fit beautifully into the era of the original trilogy, but they're also something so fantastical you never would have seen on screen back then.
I totally agree, right? It's like it's something I couldn't imagine seeing. But I mean, there's a lot of great puppetry in the original trilogy as well. And
absolutely. I mean, you know, with the amazing work of Phil Tippett and many more, and like, you know, I think the biggest scale we got in comparison would be like the Rancor stuff. But even then, that was stop motion stuff with like force perspective and like King Kong 1933 technology of cutting and pasting in the actors.
But yeah, it all just looked very cool, very good. There are some shots in this episode where I can just see. I was like, this is definitely the volume. There was that one campfire scene. I think we skipped over, but like there was that one campfire scene. I'm like, whoa, this does not look very good.
But I never see it in scenes like that. I saw No, the only time I really saw like where the background felt a little flat to me was some of the flying scenes with Keller and Beck.
Yeah, definitely that too.
But I'm never like super taken out of it because the shots are fast enough that I don't really linger.
Yeah, I'm always about what the character's doing either way.
Yeah.
I just want to mention that. But so yeah. So they're rescuing Ragnar, great action sequence, Paz Vizsla.
Evan, the dinner scene the night
reveals-
before.
Yeah, I was gonna go back to that. I have a moment with that. So Paz Vizsla reveals he's a father to Ragnar. There was a great sequence where like in the sky and they clip the wings, and then Din himself has to be the one to like dive in there and save Ragnar. It was a very cool sequence. It reminded me of this one Naruto fight, but I won't get into that. And then let me see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, going back, we had this very interesting dinner sequence or campfire song sequence. I'm kidding. Where we have Bo-Katan and the crew, they're getting ready to scale the mountain, and they're going to eat, and Boga's like, how do we fucking eat in this place?
I know. I was like, wait, Nani? How are we gonna do this?
Because usually we see Din, he's just like, he pulls the helmet back. Yeah, right. No.
Hot soup in my mask.
God damn, it's hot.
I can't take it off. Why don't we eat with straws?
Damn it. No. And they're like, well, this soup is too damn hot. No. So
I have had it. I'm sorry.
Just takes his mask off. He's like, fuck this place.
I'll dive in again.
But
he brings his like buckets to bathe in case it happens again.
Exactly. He's like, I got some portable water from whatever.
He's like, all right, this is me day. I'm not gonna help any of y'all because I'm banished today. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, fuck y'all. So yeah, basically it's like we all separate and go eat by ourselves, but the one who's like leading the mission gets to like stay by the campfire. So they all disperse to go piss and eat by themselves.
Jesus.
Basically, right?
Nobody talked about pissing.
Well,
you don't need to. You don't need to leave. You don't need to take your helmet off to piss.
It's true. You never know.
Just like,
you hear Bo-Katan just eating, and then in the background you hear like the. I'm like, oh,
I hate you so much.
What the hell? Is this what you guys doing?
Is this my co-host?
But yeah, it's a very interesting sequence. Pardon me, but yeah, Bo-Katan's alone, right?
Yeah,
she's been alone.
Vizsla gives like the honor, like the respectability. Like you helped like lead this mission. You get the honor.
You get to sit near the fire. Yeah, sit near the warmth. Basically, she's like, okay, sure, cool. Takes off the helmet. Very interesting sequence. I was very curious to see what she was going to look like, because we haven't really seen her reaction to them. At the end of the episode last week, we just saw her under the helmet be like, "You're part of the crew now," and I'm like, "What is she thinking here?" You can kind of see during her body movements that like she could be kind of like uncomfortable-ish. But then, so we take off the helmet here. She does look pretty much a little bit uncomfortable. She's kind of confused. But she eats, she drinks. It's very short.
She doesn't. There. She didn't seem as annoyed as I would have expected, which I think
exactly. Yeah, right. She didn't seem as uncomfortable anymore. She seemed like, okay, I'm alone, but I'm getting. This is weird, but I'm getting used to it, kind of vibe, right?
Now, now, Evan, I will say this. Not to like join the crowd of just like, what about Din? But this is a perfect opportunity for us to see our boy without the helmet, but we do not. And because they made a big deal in season 1 because they wanted to save the finale to have his helmet off, and then season 2 penultimate and the finale of season 2 we got to see him without the helmet, which is great. Which then leads me to wonder, like, are we gonna get one this season? I hope so.
We definitely are. We always are.
But in what context will it be?
That's the question. It's always during these emotional scenes, whether it's to save Grogu, say goodbye to Grogu, or to
save his own life.
Exactly. So it's going to be regarding himself, or Grogu, or Bo. I would love that. But so I would have loved a shot of Din off in the shadows, looking at Bo-Katan under the campfire and like not him worrying about her, just being like, I wonder what she's thinking right now because she's all alone right now. I just want a shot of him like looking at her, eating, and then just some short, just him looking and then sipping his soup or whatever. That'd have been nice, but in general, I didn't really mind not seeing Din here.
I wasn't saying like specifically here. I just mean like if we wanted to do another scene like that, we could just go off of him next time.
I agree. But yeah, it adds to like that feeling of solitude that she's been feeling, but it's also added that feeling of like, hey, I was alone, but now with these people, I don't really know how to act. I don't really know what to do here. But she's focused on the mission. It's just very, very intriguing scene.
I do want to ask, like, what are the rules with like when you're around your own, like your kin and your family? Because Din very openly took his helmet off to in front of Grogu on the ship in season 2. We kept him off screen, but we got Grogu's like reaction to like just looking at his father's face.
That's a good question. I guess with your father and son, or with your loved one, then you can. I guess. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works.
Oh, maybe that would also answer the question. Like, if you could be,
have
family.
Sex. Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Oh, sorry.
Demonetized.
Demonetized. No, like YouTube restricted. Yeah, you can't really say.
They're watching us. We're too highbrow.
Can't really say like the K word, right? It's like the no alive to somebody, or something like that. Either way. Interesting scene at the campfire for Bo-Katan. But yeah, anyways, we cut back. They rescued Ragnar. He says, or Pre-Vizsla says, thank you, Din. Also, this is the way. He says this is the way to Din after protecting and saving Ragnar. I took note of this because, this is the way is a common phrase, of course, yes. But also, this was said after... this is said a lot after, especially the season, when people are talking about like protecting or saving something. When Bo-Katan mentioned like my father, like risked his life to protect Mandalore, Din was especially taken aback by that. Not aback, but just affected by those words by her father. And he said like, "This is the way," out of respect. Yeah. And then also, what's it called? Like when people are saved, they're like, "This is the way." So, and I think this could be a running theme for the watch in general. This is the way could be in terms of like saving people that are lost. But when Bo-Katan gets saved, right? This is the way. This is the way. They all crowded around her saying, "This is the way."
I think. I think this whole mission, from Vizsla's perspective, has squashed any beef that he had with both of them.
I agree
for sure, and I think that's. Very great story point for just, the making of allies, like to the strongest degree moving forward.
Exactly. That's a key point that we should be thinking about in terms of like these allies and these alliances within the watch. But yeah, so this is the way. Like, is this the way, like a phrase used to protect those who are lost? Like Din, when he was lost, Bo-Katan, Ragnar, people who are lost but now are found. Is that one of the key tenets of the watch? But it's also a key tenet of being human in general. You always want to save people who are lost and have no direction.
I think it's all about I think it's all about the context and the cadence in which it's used. Like I feel all the time it's like the force be with you and also with you in a very like jokey way. But like in this moment, this is the way. This is how we do things. But like like you saved my child's life. I can't thank you enough for that. And just like, this is the way. It's what we do.
It's what we do. Exactly. But also we know this is the way. It can also be said in weird contexts. Like, hey, don't take off your helmet. This is the way. Or, hey, you can't come back unless you're bathed in the living waters under Mandalore. This is the way.
It can be like very threatening.
It can be threatening, or it can just be like very rigid as well.
Are they Mormons?
Wow.
This is an allegory.
Probably, but it's definitely, I've always known, like it's always had this religious cultish background to it. But as we learned out this episode, like these are people who are willing to protect, willing to teach the next generation, willing to save those who are lost, willing to give people like Bo-Katan, who doesn't have a home, another home, right? willing
Yeah.
to quickly accept Bo-Katan, like Ragnar and like Pre Vizsla did to Bo-Katan. He's very and Din, right? Like his opinions towards them have changed. This is the way. So like this group, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, what should we think about them? They did some positive things this episode. They saved the child. They did kill the mother bird, but then took its children, and then like this is the way. I'm like it's weird, right? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, the killing is the weird bit, but I mean, you know, when in our world and society, like
they had to
when we
save themselves, right?
well, yeah, but I mean, like in our world and society, like when we adopt pets and animals, like we're not adopting the whole family of litter and the mother.
True.
Usually, it's just like here's the kitten, here's the puppy. But obviously, this is a different circumstance. But you know, also, just thinking on a surface level, hey, this is going to be really cool, and they're grown up, and we're going to see 3 Mandos riding those in the final battle.
100%. Those are like end of the season or maybe season 4 stuff.
Depends how much time passes. At this rate, I'm just like season 4. But I said Mythosaur in season 4, so here I am. Egg on my
Exactly.
face.
I immediately thought like season finale, but I could definitely see season 4 as well. In general, we'll see those birds again.
Yeah, it really depends what's gonna happen, because I imagine there will be a final conflict, and maybe this is all leading to like, you know, the Thrawn event for a big final thing, which they may do a brand new style of Heir of the Empire or something with him. But
yeah, that's season 4 stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, we gotta get through like Ahsoka and I don't know, maybe season 2 of Book of Boba Fett. We'll see. But you never know. We liked it, Evan.
We liked the first half, Nathan, and the finale was.
Well, I don't know. I put the Din stuff separate from it.
It's part of the season. I know it's separate.
Yeah, it is. But also, when I'm judging the Mandalorian journey right now, when we talk about the show, I'm also in the context of Book of Boba Fett.
Sure,
so
that's fair.
Anyway, what my point? I was saying it entirely depends on where we're going to be going at the end of the season, like where the Mandalorians are going to be. Like, are we going to come together by the end of the season? Are we riding that Mythosaur by the end of the season to sway? Because what I think is going to happen is I think, you know, we've established through Bo that the Darksaber isn't enough to rally the troops if you're not following the exact you know, the ways and style of like how they view you should be leading, which you know,
I think it's very. If Din wanted to rally with the Darksaber, he could, but the point was Din doesn't want to. So
well, no, because Bo tried to, and her people disbanded.
After she didn't have the Darksaber.
Well, no, she did in the time of She said in the premiere here, like you know, in the time like
he disbanded because they saw she didn't have the Darksaber.
I guess.
Because Din took it. And they were like, why are we here now? Because our goal was to get the Darksaber back.
Yeah, which is all weird because, like, you know, when Maul had the saber, like, a lot of them followed him blindly. We had a civil war about it, but, you know, a lot of followed him blindly. But and then here, you know, yeah, but then here, like, Gideon had it, but, yeah, they ain't following Gideon.
No, because he's not a Mandalorian. Once a Mandalorian...
Maul's not Mandalorian.
No, but they followed Maul because the Maul promised them change within Mandalore. They didn't realize that change was going to be the death of Satine and the death of and a lot of them still did follow Maul. A lot of them did. Bo-Katan had a contingent that left. They were like, fuck this, you killed my sister, bye.
Okay.
But I just think in general, I think in general, in terms of like acceptance, I think she's veering away from the Darksaber. Not because like they left, whatever. She's away from Darksaber because Din has it. I think right now her next claim is going to be the Mythosaur.
Yeah, no, me too. My whole point was and maybe this point works better if we can sway Din over to like the side of not having to exclusively follow the way this way, which hopefully they can sway the Mandos to do. Because what I imagine will happen, like Din has the Darksaber, but they'll be like, you're not going to follow the way, then you know you're no ruler of mine. So then we'll have to bring Bo in to step up the stakes of being like, all right, well, I'm with him and I'm wielding the thing that you only know of myth and legend. So both of us wielding these two things.
Explain that some more, though. So you're saying later on, Din will want them to follow, but then he's not going to be following the way. Why would he move away from the way at this point?
I don't know. My hope is that he does get to that point through more time spent with Bo. And then we can get to a point where Din tries to rally with the Darksaber, but you're not following the way, and then Bo comes in with the sword.
I'm starting to go away from our theories now. I'm starting to disagree. Not disagree. I'm hopeful that Din can change, but let's cover this last scene before we go to theories talk.
Well, hold on. I should also like tag on the end of my point of like, I'm not just saying like they're gonna like, follow blindly or just like, oh well, I mean shit, but hopefully it'll get their attention enough to hear them out for their points of being like, we could be more than just this one-dimensional, more than the armor, as I said before.
I agree. Yes.
Because I think we've established like these are, genuine like a family and group of people. Like they
said a lot of good stuff this episode.
Yeah, they're not entirely evil. They just kind of have very like too strict of ways, and if we can just like evolve them out of that into a more opening, like how Mandalore used to be, then
I agree.
I think we could be good.
That's a good point. Yeah. Because they said a lot of good things, but a part of me is like, they said a lot of good things here, but is Favreau writing this in a way that we shouldn't continue questioning them, or should we continue questioning them?
That's the thing. I never know.
But that's I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, the end scene here is very short. We get an ending scene with Bo-Katan and the armor. Bo-Katan had some rough, not injuries, but just like scars and
her
damage to her plating.
Piece of her armor got knocked off her shoulder plate.
Yeah, a piece of her armor got knocked off her shoulder plate. So armor is like, hey, I'll give you a new shoulder plate. Again, something positive. You're giving somebody more defense, more attributes, basically Mandalorian attributes. And
she's very kind enough to be like, you want another Night Owl? I can make that for you.
Exactly, right? She's willing to accept Bo-Katan's symbol. And she says no. She says, I would want, or first of all, she questions,
would it be acceptable to wear the Mudhorn?
The mythosaur, she says.
The mythosaur, sorry. The mythosaur. And
I paused it. I was like, oh, mythosaur, because I thought my silly brain. I paused it because I was like, maybe she's gonna say I want the mythosaur because she's gonna tell her I've seen the mythosaur and there's gonna be some antagonistic thing to it. But no, I unpaused it and it's just like, oh no, everybody can wear the mythosaur. So I'm like, so it's not really that special. But
like a cool like duality of just like, well, Bo's like, I can get the mythosaur. They can be like, oh well, you're gonna represent all of the Mandalorian way with this.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's kind of what they're going towards. Like she's diving, similar to how she talked about her father in the past, her getting a Mandalorian symbol or a mythosaurian symbol can just be like, hey, I'm reconnecting with what's universal Mandalorian culture once again. And she also brings up, hey, I saw the mythosaur in the living waters. Long story short, the armor is not agreeing. Or she's like, basically your grandma, when you tell your grandma some stories, she's just like, okay, that's cute, honey. Yeah, moving on. Whereas it's like, she doesn't believe her, really. She just says like, oh, well, we see a lot of things in our visions. And Bo-Katan's like, this was not in my vision.
Sure, Chan.
And yeah, armor is like, okay, interesting. Okay, sure. Basically, that's the end of the episode. The armor doesn't believe Bo-Katan. That's all we have to say. But yeah, this was very interesting. The end of the episode does show Bo-Katan looking on at the mythosaur. What is she thinking? What is she cooking? So it goes back to what we were talking about with like the watch and Bo-Katan's plans here. I just think Bo-Katan could be wanting to use now as she's connecting deeper with her Mandalorian culture. She just did a very good thing of saving Ragnar. She has the goodwill of the people. As people say on Big Brother Survivor, she has a lot of good social capital to her. She's a lot of like recognition now. On top of that, if she sees a mythosaur, that can give her a lot of good claim that she feels like she's missing. This could be the selfish thing that I was talking about early on, where she's like, in order to strengthen my claim, I can try and convince more people that I've seen the mythosaur. Instead of using the Darksaber, I can ride the mythosaur. Use the watch as my new allies, because the other ones left me. Use the people of the watch, or most of them at least, ones that will follow, as my allies as I try to reclaim Mandalore under my rule, using people of the watch. Would this create an antagonistic force within the watch? Maybe. Would they all follow her? Is there a scenario where they all just follow her? Maybe, yeah, too. So I'm very curious where her plans are, but I think it's going to lead to something self-interested and not negative, but just like self-interested and not healthy, maybe.
Sure.
I just think she's going towards a not antagonistic route, but just I'm very curious where she's going. I don't think it's going to be sunshine and rainbows for Bo-Katan. I think she has some
When you
dark-ish route ahead.
yeah, I mean, when you lose the throne this many times, doesn't feel too great.
Doesn't feel great. And again, we can't forget that she was alone at the beginning of the season. She was down. Now she's rising up. She's doing some good things. And maybe I'm wrong. And the whole rest of the season, she stays very heroic. That I would love to see that. But I just think I'm preparing myself for a self-interested arc. And I'm very curious and happy, excited to see where that goes. But also for the watch in general, I think it's important for us to realize, or talk about just if this season ends with and we're halfway through the season now, episode 4. If this season ends with Din's arc not having some kind of change within the watch, either he changes what the watch is as a group fundamentally, as we've both been saying, or he moves away from the watch based on fundamental principles of his own, then what's the point of season 3? I think that was my whole thing going into this season. And this is the make or break it time of the season for me, because I've been enjoying myself with these first 4 episodes. But the last arc of season 2, the second half of season 2, was when I was like, okay, come on, we're doing too much world building. It wasn't as focused as I wanted it to be. I think the season's going to remain focused. I'm not against that, but I'm like, where are we going with Din's relationship with the watch and Bo-Katan's relationship with the watch? Oh, I think Bo-Katan's relationship with the watch is blank slate. I have no idea where we're going with it, but I'm excited either way. That's not going to be a detriment. Her arc with the watch is not going to hinder or go against my enjoyment of the season. I'm fine with whatever Bo-Katan does. But for Din, as the protagonist of the show, I need him to evolve either within the watch as a group saying, hey guys, we need to change, or he needs to change and move away from the watch. Just something in his relationship with the watch needs to improve. Because if not, then I can understand some of the criticisms of this episode where they're like, okay, they're making this group, which we previously thought to be like a cultish thing, and we talked about this episode alone, like how the watch has said some things that are positive, but also negative, like don't take off your helmet, etc. Some rigid themes. So
you've even spoken a lot about Din's journey, feeling that he's regressing back to his season 1 ways.
He's 100% has regressed, right?
Yeah.
But now he got his redemption. So I'm like, okay, that was quick. We got redemption quick. Maybe that means the rest of the season isn't about his redemption. It's about how he changes, changes his relationship with the group.
Yeah, my hope would be like, okay, you got what you wanted. You're back in the good grace of your people. Do you feel fulfilled? No?
Exactly. Yeah. But we're not getting that, right? We're getting some positive training sequences. We're getting them saving the kid. It's like,
maybe that's the thing. Maybe this will be our let it go. I got these here's gonna follow steps. We're gonna be a happy family. But then maybe you'll see how Grogu has been like negatively thinking about like the whole ideas about his past, and in Mandalorian style, maybe you'll see that and reflect like, okay, I'm trying to like force him into this thing of my ideals when I'm not really taking time to feel like how the kids feel. So maybe I need to like stop myself and focus on that, and then maybe in that time frame, the armor could be like, you got to keep showing him on these ways. This is the way, and you'll have to be like, okay, do I prioritize my religion or my family? And
my relationship as a father, like this father figure role, which again, as Grieve Karga kept saying, like, hey, you can just stay here with your son, basically, with Grogu. And Din's now the season grappling with being a father. This episode alone, right, teaching Grogu, like, hey, it's okay to be who you are. Show them who you are, Grogu. Don't be afraid anymore, right? These are things that he also has to learn. Show them who you are as a father figure, right? Yeah. Show them who you are now as an evolved person through Grogu.
And how wonderful would it be to, like, for Din to get the new perspective, like, looking at Grogu, like, Grogu didn't want to be following the Jedi way. But that doesn't mean he wants to follow the Mandalorian way. He just wants to be with you.
That's true too. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, like does he? I think it's fine being a Mandalorian. Being a Mandalorian isn't bad.
No,
right?
it's nothing wrong. But I don't know if it's really going to come down to a thing where like Grogu has an interest either way.
True. Maybe he doesn't. But yeah, I think in general, yeah, he likes being with Din, and Din's a Mandalorian, so he's going to like being a Mandalorian. And being a Mandalorian isn't a bad thing. It's good. But it's like, what is our definition? And we'll get into this with our next conversation in the Bad Batch, right? Bad Batch is season 2, at least, is grappling with what does it mean to be a clone? What is our purpose outside of, we're more than just soldiers, right? And for Mandalorian, it's like, we're more than just our creed. We should be more than just our creed, right? Din can be a father figure. Ragnar and Pre, they're father and son, right? We've established another father-son relationship within this creed alone. Is that going to reflect what Din's going through with his fatherly relationship with
good Mandos follow creeds?
Yeah, exactly, right? So great Mando follow creed, but we're more than just we're more than just our orders. We're more than just our code. Hopefully, again, these are things every season of Mandalorian. I'm spitballing and I'm explaining these deeper contextual, mythological, everything. I'm thinking of all these themes that are not really present in the episode, because some of them are definitely. There are things that are definitely present in the episode, but I'm doing a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of like what I hope to see, what is possible given what we see in the show.
We take a lot of strands, and then we start to knit our own tapestry, if you will. But then they end up making a whole different design than what we pitch.
Exactly,
because granted, it's already been made, it's already locked in. We're just the outsider,
and I'm fine with things not going the way I want them to. Surprise me, I love it, but hopefully it's surprising in a way that matches what they set up themselves at the beginning of the season. So
we want it to be of an equal ideal, or in the better case exceed, which I think Andor did for us, like in spades.
It was just like thematically rich from episode 1 through 9. It was like, or whatever. I mean, episode 8 and the war. It was like we understood 12. We understood the connective tissue from episode 1 to the finale.
Yeah,
I didn't feel that way with season 2. They were building up to Luke Skywalker, sure, but then there's some messy things along the way. But either way, I think for season 3, there's some good things with the father, the idea of solitude with Bo-Katan. There's some interesting things. I'm liking this, but where this is going, I'm hoping to be surprised, or I'm hopeful that it's in a way that just evolves Din away, or just evolves Din's relationship, period, with this cult. Whether he changes, leaves, something in between, I don't care. I just want some kind of evolution with Din's relationship with this cult, plain and simple. That's all I'm hoping for. But yeah, let's move this along. So let's go to Bad Batch Season 2. Fun, penultimate episode that I just had a great time with, Nathan.
Oh, yeah. Take it away, Penny. the plot.
So we start off on this desolate planet. I didn't catch his name. Jalen said this is from Knights of the Old Republic. Or the MMO one, not the one that was the other one. And I think it's called Bellaran or whatever. Anyways, this was another episode that focused outside of the Bad Batch as well, which I loved. I put that in my notes. I always love it when we get stuff outside of the Bad Batch. But on this desolate planet, it's dark, it's gray, it's cold, it's not great, it's a prison system. Yeah. We see our boy Hauser. People forget who Hauser was. Hauser the clone was from the Ryloth episodes of season 1. He was the one that said, "We're now being ordered to target our people we swore to protect, and I will not be a part of it any longer." He gave that speech to the clones in Ryloft when he turned around and was like, "Fuck this, I'm not doing it." Crosshair was going to snipe him, but failed to do so because of the Bad Batch. So he was then taken prisoner. Cut to this episode where we see what is going on with the people who are being decommissioned or who are being disobedient with the Empire. They're being taken away from this prison planet to Tantus. Do they know they're going to Tantus? Not at all. So they just got taken prisoner. They have no idea where they're going. But we get this awesome action sequence of Echo, Rex, and Gregor coming in to save the day. I was surprised. I love how many times I was like, we got to see an Echo and a Rex scene. We got to see what they're up to. That my prayers have been answered. I was so happy seeing this sequence.
Let's go.
It was really fun.
Rex was there?
Rex was there. Yeah, he was the one driving. It wasn't just Echo.
No, I know it wasn't just Echo, but I thought the other one was
It was Gregor from Rebels.
yeah, Gregor. I saw Gregor.
Rex was in there. Yeah.
How did I miss Rex?
Rex was there. We watched. Right.
That was the only scene with them, right? Or with Rex?
I think Rex was the one that invaded with them. Or did he stay on the ship during the thing? I forget. But Rex was there.
Echo comes alone later to see the batch, right?
Yes.
Okay.
When did you watch this episode, buddy?
I watched it the same morning as Mando.
Maybe that's why it's been a minute. Usually you watch it today.
Yeah, I'm usually like super fresh and late to the game, but time was of the essence, so I was like, they haven't shut off the power yet.
So anyways, yeah, so basically Echo, Rex, and Gregor to the rescue. There's one transport vehicle that docked on top of it because part of the ship was able to detach, which is really cool. So one part detached, went on top of the prison ship. The other part, the bigger, the full ship, went below and docked below. So then they came in, invaded the ship both ways, cut through all the clones, stunning them, not killing them, stunning them. They make their way to the end. They get to the Imperial leading the freaking place. And of course, the cyanide pill shocks himself.
Yeah, I was like waiting. I'm like, is he going to do that? And since he did, I'm like, I would always be so scared that they're going to do that. I think you need to stun their ass
immediately
and do a dental exam. Like
stun them and then just take their belongings or something, or like whatever.
Put in a mouth guard or anything.
Put in a mouth guard, then interrogate them. Don't interrogate them. Say, hey, what do you know? Wait 5 seconds. Oh, he committed suicide. Oh. It's like, come on, stun them, then ask the questions. But meanwhile, Echo is trying to triangulate the location of where they were going, decrypting old files. It gets paused because the Empire managed to send a signal, a help signal. Right? Yeah, they did. Remember, that's why the Empire came.
Oh, I guess so. My whole brain was still stuck on how they were ordered to erase all the data on the ship.
Yeah, they were ordered to erase all the data, basically flush it off. And meanwhile, the Empire is they did a signal that the Empire's gonna be here very soon. We just gotta hurry up and flush all our data away. So yeah, as soon as they get their stuff, the Empire arrives, and they're not even trying to help out the Imperials. They're just destroy, just kill off the entire ship. Which is the protocol that Dr. Hemlock talks about later on with Tarkin. He's like, there's no way they found where we are because our protocols are pretty seamless. If something goes wrong, we blow up the evidence. And yeah, the ship gets blown up as Echo, Rex, and Gregor, and now Hauser and the other people who are taken prisoner got saved. Good on them. But yeah, they have no idea where they were going. Cut to spooky Tantus shot. This was a great wide shot of Tantus, and I took note of this because this was a spooky dark shot. There's thunderclouds. Tantus, if you notice, Nathan, it was gray. Remember, usually we cut to Tantus and there was blue light in the background, green
it's very peaceful. Yeah,
peaceful. I think this is the show showing us this is what happens when the Imperials take part of nature, part of land. It immediately gets it's dying because the world is dying as we know the Empire doing despicable actions against the clones and against the captives there. It's they're doing negative things there, and it's shown through the landscape. The landscape is itself dying.
Oh, yeah.
Not very good.
Very gloomy, very storm clouds. Started raining later. You would think I directed the episode. But
exactly, yeah. You love you some buckets of rain.
Oh, yeah. Nice and Snydery.
Exactly. So yeah, Dr. Hemlock goes back to interrogating Crosshair. He's like, I could grant you a clean slate if you tell us where Omega and the Bad Batch are.
Which, as a viewer, I'm like, bullshit. I never trust the Empire.
Yeah, poker face, called bullshit on these guys.
But then also on the other side, as a viewer, I'm like, I saw what they did to Biggs and Andor. I'm scared.
Me too. Yeah. So I'm like, what's gonna happen here?
I don't pull Leia, say Dantooine, fucking throw him to
Yeah.
something else. I don't know.
Dantooine. It's like that's already been tried. No, I'm kidding.
I was like, oh, we'll check it. Kill it
Yeah.
anyway. No.
Exactly. So, yeah, Crosshair is not budging though. He had his good heroic redemption arc, and this continues in this episode in spades. Because he says like, I have no where they are, and I think he's honest, right?
Oh yeah,
like
they absolutely are just like, yeah, you don't know, but you know how they think.
Yeah, like I think he could lead them to like locations of where they could be, like some people that might know where they are, but he doesn't go that far.
Even if he tried, he wouldn't know about Pabu. He wouldn't know.
Yeah, he wouldn't know about Pabu at all. But like I paused it because I'm like, does he know about Sid? Because Sid's not on good time with the Bad Batch right now.
Fuck me, man. That better not be the penultimate.
So it could go from Sid to riding out to Fee, and then to Pabu, right? Sid to Fee to Pabu could be a route they could go.
Look, I know we're already like anti-Sid now, but if it comes down to Sid gives up the location or like some trail for the Bad Batch, I feel so betrayed.
Yeah, right. So we'll see.
We saved you this season.
Exactly.
I'm getting pissed for something that hasn't happened yet.
I know. We'll see. Maybe Sid has a good redemption arc next week. We'll see how it goes.
One can only hope. Maybe Wanda Sykes' character will sway him back.
Yeah, but then he's subsequently tortured because he says like, I don't know shit. He gets subsequently tortured by a new doctor called Dr. Ball and this probe droid.
This dude's creepy, man.
Very creepy dude.
I think there's always like a brilliant element of showcasing a villain when he speaks so calmly in the face of just torturous means.
Yeah, Hemlock's such a great villain. Again, he was voiced by Jimmy Simpson, and I just love his like matter of fact, like no nonsense, confident, insidious vibe to him. He's a very interesting villain. I like him way better than Rampart already. Rampart had he was like a dick. Rampart's just a dick within the Empire.
Rampart was like ultimately it was a setup for like an amazing payoff for Palpatine.
Exactly. I think Hemlock is different from Rampart. I'll talk about it later on, but he's a lot more confident than Rampart was.
I will say, like, because they also started the episode on the ship with the Imperial that cyanides himself, and just seeing him amongst like the one that Crosshair killed a couple episodes ago, and just like all of them, I'm just like, are they like trying to find the most like scummy Slytherin looking motherfuckers in the galaxy?
That's who they are, right? It's like
that's who they are. I think it's like a physical embodiment of like the gross black heart of the galaxies.
The Imperial, right? These young Imperial officers, they get in power, but they're not really in power, right? There's people above them, but they want to use their power to be like, oh, I look down on the clones. Like these clones are below me because whoever's below me, I'm so higher than them. Like, wait, you're just overcompensating for your.
I got a magnifying glass with my aunts. I got the sun right in their eyes.
Basically, right? It's like, come on now. But yeah, so we cut to on Coruscant in the twins. What they call it?
Tracer Rafa.
Tracer Rafa's lab. Yeah.
Where are they?
I know, right?
I mean, obviously they don't live there anymore, but like, are they okay? Are they safe? Are they all right?
Are they safe? Are they right? We'll see. Maybe they'll come back in a future season. Hopefully.
That'd be great if they just like come in with that, like, haha.
Well, they were in season 1. I keep saying that they were in season 1. I think, right?
Yeah, we had we came to an understanding by the end because we were fighting over the tactical droid head. Yeah.
Anyways, they're on Coruscant with Senator Chuchi. I love seeing her return here. She's continuing to help out the clones, even though she failed to stop the decommission. She's continuing to help them. I wrote down that the senator aides were giving the clones coffee, right? Like they were helping out, being very just kind to the clones, in strict contrast to what the Empire was doing, just like demeaning them, taking them prisoner. What we got with the Crosshair episode, like it's just a big north and south, opposite ends, just treat them nicely. It was just great to see. Yeah. But basically, they're like, Hauser's just basically telling them, like, I had no idea where they were going. They took some people before us, and I have no idea. They never came back. They never returned. So people who are decommissioned, they're getting taken to this prison place, and we got to really figure out where they're going. That goes. Yeah.
you can only assume the worst. That like if we're
Mm.
so desperate for like cloning information and means of harnessing that knowledge, you can only imagine that they're going to take the success of the clones themselves and maybe dissect them for research.
Exactly. I don't know what the whole plan is. Maybe we'll definitely learn next week. But yeah, it's not good because these are things that could spiral. I'll talk about it later on. I have it in my notes. But so yeah, they can't find missing clones. But Echo says like, I know just the guy who might know how to decrypt the rest of these files because we got some of it from the ship, but we didn't get all of it. I know just a person that I know can fix all this, which we know to be Tech. But then, anyways, we cut back to Crosshair on Tantus.
On the slab.
He's on the slab. He's getting tortured. The torture stops because Dr. Emery was like, he's not going to give us anything if he's dead. So the other doctor, Dr. Ball, he stops, and the other clones are like, should we really lower this? Like, we shouldn't.
Our orders were...
Exactly, our orders and whatever.
He'll die, you idiot. Like, no.
Crosshair then...
one of them set their guns down.
Yes.
So he snagged it, shot the one, took out the other, and then...
He kills the doctor and the troops, yeah.
He didn't kill the doctor. He had the doctor...
The doctor tortured, but not the aide.
Yes. But yeah, he had the aide at gunpoint. Well, I thought she was like a lead in the... Yeah, well, she's at least the lead researcher in there.
Yeah, she's the lead researcher.
Do you think there's any good in her? I don't know.
Definitely. He kept her alive. He stunned her, right? She says like, first of all, there's no escape. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good for Crosshair. But
she's like, don't make it any worse.
Yeah, don't make it any worse. But yeah, I think Dr. Emery here, she is definitely what.
Yeah. Does she know?
What's she cooking? I think she definitely knows of Dr. Hemlock's plans. But yeah, I think she is kind. She saves him because like she felt that he was in pain, too much pain, and I think I think there's definitely good in her. She's doing these bad things, but I think she cares enough that she might go against Hemlock.
She was at least like honest enough to like taking my key heart is not going to be the route to get you out of here. You're not going to make it past these different layers. Yeah,
there's a part of me that I thought like she helped with his escape, but I rewinded it and like, oh, she didn't really help. She was just like unfastening his things.
But she was like a lot more useful with that info.
She's a lot more human and helpful than the other ones. Who have like no shred of humanity left in them. We can actually see some like empathy a little bit from her, which I'm like, okay, she's definitely gonna be the key to saving Crosshair in the finale. So yeah, Emery, keep her in her mind because she's definitely gonna keep her. And he stuns her. He doesn't shoot her like he shot the other ones, but it stuns her. So she'll be back.
In my brain, I was like, wow, growth for Crosshair. He didn't kill somebody.
Right? So he tries to escape. He misses, but then kills two other guards.
There was one scene where like it took him like not a lot of blasts, but like he shot in between those two.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
and took him out. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, did he miss or was it just a distraction? I'm like,
I think he just missed. He was like, he's been drugged, he's been tortured, he's out of it.
Now, granted, I don't know if like Crosshair is like particularly like Hawkeye who never misses, but we know he's a perfect shot.
He's a perfect shot, and I think even Hawkeye, if he was drugged, would be like, "Whoa, fuck, I don't know where to go."
Never know.
So yeah, but we get the sense that he wasn't really trying to escape. He was just trying to send a message, and he gets over to like this communications hub, and he sends out Plan 88. He says, "You have to hide. They're after cut because the alarms stop and toxins start filling the room." I'm like, oh shit, this is creepy. And I loved the scene, Nathan, where the doctor comes in.
No mask.
Anti-vax. And I'm like, wait, what? Anti-vax. Anti-vax. And I'm just like, wait, what the hell? What kind of smoke? It's like, is this a clone only smoke? But he says, no. I
Crosshair
created
got
this.
high. It's just he's a lightweight. You couldn't hang.
But he says to Crosshair, like, I created this toxin. I've developed an immunity to it. That is some sickening shit. Like,
how many trials do you have?
He can breathe in this toxic, killing air. I'm like, how much more of a villain do we need to see from this guy? Like, that's some dark shit. I loved this scene. And there's a great shot where it's like the camera's panned, where it's like you're from the perspective of Crosshair. Mm-hmm. He's like lying on the ground. The guy's covered in all this green smoke, looking down on Crosshair. I'm like, oh my god, this guy is just dark, and I love him. He's great. He's a great villain. I like it. I like him already. He's fantastic.
I like him. He's working. We then see later like he's working pretty close on reports with Tarkin.
With Tarkin, that was a surprise reveal too. I'm like, oh shit, Tarkin's here. Let's jump to that scene. That comes a bit later, but let's jump to that. Sure. Let's see here. Scroll down. So yeah, back on Tantus, Hemlock is confident the protocol in terms of like, because Tarkin's like, yo, they destroyed one of our prison ships. Should we be worried? Hemlock is like, no need to worry. I'm fully confident that the protocol we keep will keep our discovery of Tantus safe. They have no idea where we are. He's not frightened. Again, like I mentioned, he's fully confident. Tarkin, though, has need to be worried because Tarkin is worried that the greater danger is clones betraying the Empire from inside. Those still loyal will feed info to the rogue clones, as we see plain and simple. This is what Rex was talking about during the mid-season finale. I have contacts on the inside who are helping me find missing clones. And we assume that to be the case with this whole prison thing where he found Hauser. How did he find Hauser? Through rogue clones within the Empire. So people are starting to move away from their chip, and Tarkin's worried about that. So Tarkin then asks Hemlock, what is your plan for all this? Hemlock says, no to the decommissioning efforts. We should stop decommissioning and instead bring them to Tantus, because the decommissioning is obviously not working. If you decommission them, they're just going to rat on us to Rex and other rogue clones, as we just talked about. But this guy is saying, for all the decommissioned clones, send them to me on Tantus. I have a plan for them that I will reveal at the summit. The next episode of the Bad Batch is called The Summit. So we will be seeing what this plan is involving, because we still don't know what he wants with Crosshair or these other rogue clones on Tantus. What are these experiments? What are these clone experiments? We'll see, I guess, next week. Yeah. But either way, this is very worrying. He then says, that's it. Like, Tarkin's like, well, I'll be interested in hearing what you have to say at the summit, blah, blah, blah. So, again, we'll hear more about this on the summit. But I think this could spiral. Tarkin and Hemlock mentioned decommissioned clones could go to Tantus. This could spiral to any clone who disobeys, and eventually just all clones in general come to Tantus and get reprogrammed. I think that's a very likely possibility with a person like Hemlock. Sure. Just send them all to me. I don't care if they deserve it or not. Send them all to me, and I will do weird shit with them. We don't know what the plan is, but he's gonna do bad shit. I think my theory, and Star Wars Explained talked about this a lot as well, that it could just be what we talked about last week, where you can reprogram the clones, take off their ID tag, and let them become assassins for the Empire. Kind of like what we saw in the mid-season finale, that one assassin that tried to kill Chuchi, had no name, no marker. Rex didn't even know who he was, and Rex knows everybody. So I think in general, reprogram them for the insidious means, or eventually they could become dark troopers, maybe. We'll see. Like from Rogue One. People who speak in a different language have been reprogrammed clones. We'll see. It's definitely not good. Something insidious that we have to think about. Yeah. So we shall see what Hemlock is up to. But then the rest of the episode takes place on Pabu. We cut back to Pabu, and things are looking good. Wreckers rebuilding a fishing dock.
How much time has passed?
I'm assuming 7, maybe 8.
Could 9.
Could be 9. I'm assuming
episodes.
I'm assuming weeks. I'm assuming 2 to 3 weeks. I'm assuming. And I say this because later on there's a big shot of Pabu, and it's during nighttime. You can see Lower Pabu has some lights on. Again, they're rebuilding the docks, so Lower Pabu is starting to get rebuilt.
We hear that they're also working on a seawall, so we can avoid this in the future.
Good, yeah. Just like I just watched
The Batman.
Blade Runner, where there's like a seawall, and the Batman too, right? Like there's seawalls, right? Like we need some seawalls, guys. Come on, common sense.
I'm sitting here in Florida, like, do we have seawalls?
You don't. I think
we're slowly every year going lower in sea level. I hope we're okay.
See you guys later.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
But Disney World.
So Wrecker is rebuilding the fishing dock. Some of the other kids, like the chief's daughter, was like, "Hey, we need some help fixing this." Wrecker's happy to oblige. It just in general, the vibe is no stress. The crew is finally happy. And the chief talks to Hunter about like, you guys are now more than you guys can be more than soldiers. And Hunter's really starting to like accept this.
Yeah, that we also get to later in the point. The Echo is coming to land, and Hunter's telling him the leader about we trust him, and he says, "Well, if you trust him, then I have no reason not to." And I'm just like, this man is too fucking wholesome for the galaxy. Oh my god,
he is very wholesome. He's very accepting.
He better not die.
He's wholesome. I would be upset if he died. He's a very nice guy, very
so
kind.
Innocent.
He needs to build a damn seawall, but yeah, he's a very great guy. But overall,
yeah.
So the chief talked to Hunter earlier, saying like, how much longer do you guys plan on staying here? And again, he says he can be more than just soldiers. I wrote down. So you can be more than just soldiers. How long are you staying here? These are questions I think are theme of the season, right? Yeah. You guys are beyond just following orders. You're beyond just being soldiers as clones. Like you guys can be a bigger purpose. You can use this place to raise a family, create a deeper purpose within your place in the galaxy.
Who is this, Dan Grogu?
Yes, they're going through similar heroic journey arcs where it's like, Din is unable to just like sit still and be happy, but like, he kind of is at this point. We're just hanging out with the watch, but at this point, it's like they're in a nice, fulfilling landscape in Pabu. It's very wholesome. It's very like inviting, accepting, and Hunter is really like taking this in. He's been looking for this all season. I think he's fully accepting his life and his purpose here. But it's also, as I'll talk about, a negative side to it, where it's like it'll lull you into a place of complacency. And I mentioned this here, where let me see in my notes, where it's like, yeah, you guys can just chill here, but also there's an era of complacency. You can't just stay here in this beautiful place. I'm happy that you're finding your purpose. I'm happy that you're finding a great place for Omega. But there are people still out there. You can't stay here forever, kind of thing. I like that you guys have found a deeper purpose, and I'd love for them to go back here, of course. Mm-hmm. As we talked about, this could be a place where all clones could go at the end of the season. But again, when Echo arrives, it's another reminder that there's a bigger purpose, and that's saving clones.
Yeah.
So let me see here.
What would you suppose is the?
Mm-hmm.
What would you suppose is like where? What would you suppose where it ends in the argument? It's like there's still clones out there. Do we stop once all the clones have been freed, or I mean, if you hear Wind of the Rebellion, do we have stakes there too?
Perfect question. I think you follow what Echo says. Echo says a very simple line. He says, because Hunter and Echo, again, skipping over some scenes here, but Hunter talks to Echo saying he's considering staying. And Echo's like, okay, I understand that. And Hunter says, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but Echo says Hunter says to Echo, it's kind of hopeless. How do you and Rex continue fighting the Empire with them having so much numbers? It's pretty much hopeless. And Echo replies with, you do what you can. It's not about beating. Yeah, he says, it's not about beating the Empire, but we do what we can. I think it's important. You don't have to beat the Empire, Hunter. They have a lot of numbers. It's impossible to right now with the forces that you have. But you do what you can. And that's the theme of the season, where it's like, as clones, you guys have the ability and the special insight into how to help other clones. I think in terms of doing what you can, your role in all this is to help free other clones. You don't have to join the rebellion. You don't have to join the big fight against the Empire if you don't want to, but your main goal is to help fight the clone or help fight the Empire, do what you can. And they have the ability to do so. They were on the trail during that one Zillow Beast episode, right? Like, they tracked down what the Empire is doing with the cloning process. They know about them stealing other clones. So, like, they have this knowledge. Now is your time to act on it. So, yeah, I skipped over some stuff, but I just want to say again, at this point in the story, it's like Echo has just found out, like, hey, there are things that we can do. And he joined Rex to go help him out. I think at this point in the story, it's time for Hunter and the crew to go rescue Crosshair, do their thing. I'll talk more about that in a second, but I just want to mention also how before Echo arrived, I liked how we got some beautiful moments of Tech and Omega racing, having fun in the skies, just some pure joyous scenes.
Driving
class, it was amazing. Echo coming in, hugging Omega. I love the little scenes like that.
Oh yeah. Honestly, Omega proven herself, like, even though she's really, like, not smooth, I think she's a pretty proficient pilot.
Very proficient. She's had some great piloting.
She's on that Anakin shit
throughout this season.
She's going straight for the wire, and Tech's there's like, pull up, Anakin.
And she's just having pure fun with it. Uncle Echo arrives, they hug. Tech goes away to decrypt what Echo gave him, the other half of the data. Yeah. And while this is happening, that's when we had that Hunter and Echo talk about, like, doing what you can. And that's also when we cut to Tantus and Hemlock. But then we already talked about that. So back on Pabu, Echo saying, like, we can just do what we can. Tech then says, hey guys, I've learned more about Hemlock. Come here. Tech informs the whole Bad Batch and Echo that Hemlock was expelled from the Imperial Science Corps and due to unorthodox experiments. Unorthodox and, you assume, unethical experiments.
I'm telling you, he's torturing the clones.
But exactly. So it's funny that he's expelled from the Imperial Science Corps, but he's still doing stuff, right? He was hired by Tarkin. You can
probably because he has the means, or at least, like, the will to do what other scientists probably can't even stomach.
Exactly, Nathan. Yeah, it's like people in the Imperials, they love taking out people who were previously expelled or whatever and bringing them right back in because they have the will and the stomach to do these insidious acts. And this is where I got into a little bit of my notes, where I'm like, he's pretty much the opposite of Rampart, where Rampart was such a fall guy for the Empire. He was doing this for the Empire. Hemlock is a selfish individual who is willing to talk back to Tarkin saying, yeah, Tarkin, decommissioning is cool, but bring them to me because I can do whatever I want to do. Like, he's also very much into his science, into his experiments. Similar to how Pershing and Mandalorian was like, I want to do things, I want to be so involved with his science and tech. And Hemlock's like the evil version of that, where he's just like, he's so involved with his science and experiments that he's, like, willing to do whatever he can. Yeah. And it's not good. They also see the Plan 88 message from Crosshair, or they can assume it's from Crosshair because Tech then says, like, I went through some of the old manifest. Crosshair is on this prison manifest. They still don't know about Tantus, but they know about, like, this prison manifest.
I think they picked up on something to acknowledge what he turned against the Empire.
Because he got taken. He got taken there, so they know it's like he did something to get taken prisoner.
Yeah, he ain't on patrol.
He's not leading any patrols anymore. But then they're questioning: is this a warning or a trap? And then we cut to Crosshair refusing to Crosshair refuses to acknowledge about the Bad Batch or say anything about them. He's tortured again. Emery looks on worried. The Dr. Emery, the good one, looks on worried, and that's the end of the episode. But so wow. So, like, I think this goes against what I was saying last week, but in a good way. And I put this one down in my notes where I'm like, I had the idea where the Bad Batch would get invaded by the Empire because the Empire was looking for Omega, and then that's why they'll have to leave. But I'm glad I'm wrong, because it looks like the Bad Batch it's going to be, instead of getting pushed out, they're going to have the pool. Instead of getting pushed, they're going to get the pool to go rescue Crosshair. They're going to decide upon themselves. Because usually you can get the cliche where it's like, oh, we're being attacked, and now we got to leave the place that we love, right? That's what I thought, which would have been fine.
That's what I thought last episode.
Yeah. But now that they've learned so much about Crosshair, it could just be like, okay, guys, warning, trap, whatever, this is our time to fully come full circle and rescue Crosshair. But also do more than that and rescue the other clones. Again, doing what we can. Our deeper purpose is to rescue not just Crosshair, but all the clones leading into the finale. I'm hyped. And then also, the finale, we have the penultimate episode of the finale is a 2-part finale. So the first part is called The Summit. The second part is called Plan 99. Any theories, Nathan, on what Plan 99 could be?
Sorry.
You're fine, sorry.
Well, I had the theory in the group chat that mayhaps they have to swap over to Plan 99, which could mean, kind of like an all together since they are Clone Force 99. This could be like a final stand type deal, standing together, all or nothing. Go. We have our best shot is just doing this whole thing together. Whether or not that means somebody goes down in the process, I hope not. I don't know, but I hope not. But I can definitely see it being the whole family in a sense coming together, because it will take literally all of them to make it out.
I could definitely see that happening.
But I would I just personally, I would be upset if we went in to save one person and then still lose a person in the process.
If we lose Crosshair, I'm pissed.
Yeah, I at this point, I don't think we'll lose Crosshair, but also
don't give me a redemption arc and then just kill him. But I can see them totally being like, Crosshair saved us, and now he sacrificed himself to save the crew. Don't do it. Don't fall for the trap of redeeming through sacrifice. Don't fall for that trap.
The whole time he's been suffering alone.
He's been suffering alone the whole time.
And it wouldn't be good enough to just be like, the fact that you came for me is like I could die at peace. Like Omega left you still caring. We're already there. You don't
exactly. So
what he needs is his family to be around him.
Yes, he needs family. He needs acceptance. He needs to feel one again. Find his true purpose. I think he's there because he helped the Bad Batch out. But I think there's more to his journey, and I would just be upset if he dies. So yeah, I'm with you in terms of Plan 99 coming as a family. But hopefully they don't really die. Just a clean rescue. We don't need sacrifice. I'm excited.
Where's Cody? Where'd he go?
Oh, Cody's off in the ether too. We don't know where he went. I would love to see Cody join the party again. And he left, but then has the will to come back and rescue other clones. I could totally see that happening in the finale.
Cody dies. Cody's the one that dies in the finale.
And I still think season 2 is it for a Bad Batch. So I'm very curious to see how this ends. We could easily have a season 3. There could be another cliffhanger-ish ending.
I think there'll be a cliffhanger. I think we'll have at least.
You think we'll have another season?
I think if we do it, I think at least one more season.
For sure. I love how season 1 is all about clones on the run, and the idea of what is the landscape of clones after Order 66? How is the Imperial occupation affecting the mindset of clones? We saw ideas with Hauser, the Ryloth arc, and other things like that. But also the idea of family in season 1. Season 2 is all about okay, what is our purpose now? What are we beyond being soldiers? So season 3, I'm what can you expand upon for the idea of clones? They already have been decommissioned. What's going to be, and if they get rescued to the end here, what's next really? The rebellion, I guess, maybe, but we don't really see clones in the rebellion, so that can't be it. So
makes me think about the
what's next?
The ending iRobot with Sunny standing over all the liberated androids.
Yeah, it'll be Omega standing over the bridge. So what do you see in your dream, Omega?
I see my own Death Star.
Oh gosh. So I still think season 2 would be a nice ending, but I would love a season 3 as well. You never know.
Absolutely.
Celebration's around the corner, so they could talk about a possible season 3. We'll see.
Is there any animation panels listed thus far?
Not at all. Just Visions and Bad Batch.
There's a Bad Batch panel.
Yeah, there's a Bad Batch panel. It just said talking about season 2.
Oh, okay. Nice. I can see, especially if Dave comes out, I can see him being like, something in the future.
Once again, there's no animation project moving forward after Bad Batch, so there still needs to be a big animation show for us to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it though. Great episode. Any other thoughts about Bad Batch?
No, I think we got. I'm just excited to see how it's all going to wrap up. I can't believe the finale's next week.
2 episodes. So next week we're going to talk about Mandalorian episode 5 and 2 episodes of the Bad Batch. I'm asking Carson. Hopefully Carson can make it. We shall see. He's been keeping up with both Mandalorian and Bad Batch. So it's going to be a stacked, definitely over 2-hour episode next week. Definitely like, subscribe, follow us along for details. But you guys can catch me on Twitter at HarrisEV9. My spring break is coming to an end, and I'm sad. Gonna have to go back to work on Monday. Almost the end of the school year, so I'm almost surviving. I've been playing Horizon, been reading manga. Just saw John Wick, I loved it. So yeah, keep me on Twitter or follow me on Twitter for more anime, movie, TV news, all of that jazz.
And you can follow me at _TimeBlazer, making a show called Time Blazer with creative consultant Evan Harris here. Always do stuff in development. I'm thinking of trying to craft some stuff up to maybe get a nice, clean, coherent Patreon specific thing launched. Just so we can get more usage of funding, because hey, I'm an idiot. Animating by yourself is hard. So maybe if we can, get some funding enough to get, at the least better tools, if not eventually other people to get hands in helping develop it, maybe we can actually deliver what's in my brain that I think is pretty good. So I'm gonna, before, and I expect anyway to do that though, I'm gonna put out another trailer as kind of like a launch campaign to be like, hey, if you like this, help make it. But that being said, please follow that on Twitter. All of our social media is linked in the description below. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you like, button, subscribe already. Ring the bell so you don't miss future reports on all things Star Wars, both movies, shows, and future news to come. That being said, hope you have a great day. Catch you guys next time. May the Force be with you always.
Bye-bye.